All right, thanks for joining this morning, everyone. I appreciate your participation as we go through some information related to travel reimbursement, and then also specifically some of the examples that we have for the upcoming association's annual meeting related to supervisor travel. I am recording this session because we have some folks that weren't able to participate this morning. So just if you would keep mics off unless you're asking a question. And yeah, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Megan Trimnell. She is with the division and she's going to be sharing some information with us. So Megan, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Christina. Is there everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I went ahead and just put the link to the annual meeting website in the chat. So you'll have that for future references because we've posted all the examples that we're going to talk about today on that webpage. So the first thing I'm going to start with is a little housekeeping note. When the state switched to a new financial system in October, board members' information, not everyone's information transferred to the new system. The only board members that transferred were anyone that was paid this current calendar year, so beginning in January. So that means if your board member did not attend last year's annual meeting or the spring area meeting, more than likely they are not in our system. If they attended the fall area meeting, we've been trying to go through those as they come in and reaching out to those that are not in the system. So I would just encourage you to make sure that they've been paid in the last year if they're attending the annual meeting. And if they have not, I'm going to start sharing my screen. We're going to need a substitute W-9 completed by those board members. So on our webpage with the travel reimbursement form and onboarding forms, the form W-9 is on our webpage, and there's an example on how to complete that form. And you can just send that in with their annual meeting reimbursement. Does anyone have any questions about that form? Because this is something new. And this form will also need to be completed if you ever have a brand new board member. This is a new requirement that will need this form.
So Megan,
go ahead, Christina.
Oh, thank you. Just to clarify, when you say that if they haven't been paid since January, you mean not just for local meetings, but for like an event with registration cost?
Right. So if they've attended a monthly local board meeting, that goes through a different system. So we're fine there. But if they haven't been paid, like the annual meeting last year, staying overnight registration fee, or an area meeting registration fee, then they're more than likely not in our new system.
That answered my question too.
Okay. So I'm going to get into the annual meeting forms. This is the annual meeting webpage, and at the bottom, we have our supervisor travel examples. The first one I'll go over is the a la carte registration. Okay, so this is the $125 registration fee that does not include any meals in the registration fee. So the annual meeting is January 7th. That Sunday is an official day of service for the board members. So they would receive breakfast, lunch, and dinner regardless of what time they departed for the meeting. The hotel cost that I've put in here is based on registrations I've seen how much the cost is going to be. This is the maximum that we will pay. So if If they registered late or differently and the cost of their hotel is more than this, we will only reimburse up to this amount. And with that registration package not including any meals, they would receive the state rate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day of the meeting. Then January 10th is a travel day only, returning home. So they would only receive breakfast. Everyone would receive breakfast if they spent the night, and then lunch would only be reimbursed if they arrive home after 2 p.m. on that day. Now, so I have an example of that receipt. So if they sign up for this registration fee, but they add separate meals like this $30 breakfast, they won't receive $30 back. They will only receive that state rate breakfast reimbursement. And then this example shows a guest, and we do not reimburse any of the guest fees.
Megan, do you mind making that example just a little bit bigger? I don't know if anybody has any questions on that one, but it's a little bit small to see on this end. That's much better. Thank you.
Megan, this is Sherry from Cherokee County.
Uh-huh.
You said after 2 o'clock, getting home at 2 o'clock, they'd get lunch, but our guys will be driving into the evening. So is it still 6 o'clock? After 6 o'clock, then they get dinner?
Hang on one second. I think it's 8 o'clock.
Okay, so they have to be home after 8 o'clock to be paid for dinner.
Dinner after 8 p.m. Yes. And I think we posted the policy on the Times website as well.
Okay,
Yes, the meal reimbursement policy is the first item there.
thank you.
Okay. So the second package is the full registration that includes all the meals except Tuesday breakfast. Is that right, Christina?
Yes, it includes 5 meals, not Tuesday breakfast.
Example is not correct. Let me fix this real fast. Okay, so Sunday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, official day of service, hotel, same amount maximum that we will pay. The registration fee for the full package is $330 this year. And then Monday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included in that registration fee. Tuesday, the breakfast is not included, lunch and dinner are in the registration fee. And then the same applies for the travel day home. You arrive after 2 p.m. to claim lunch or 8 p.m. for dinner. Anybody have any questions about this form?
There's one in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Do you need me to read it to you, or can you read it?
Okay, so if your supervisors, I was going to talk about this at the end, but you have to be over 35 miles away from home or your duty station to spend the night. So some of the local counties, Wake County, Chatham County, if you're not able to spend the night, then your registration fee will go on this travel reimbursement form, but all your per diem meals mileage are going to go on the timesheet instead of this form. And I didn't make an example of that, but if anyone else is in that scenario and you can call me, I'd be glad to go over it. Or if you want to make an example and send it to me and we'll check it ahead of time. And that goes for any of these. We had a lot of people last year that kind of filled theirs out and asked us to look over them first, and that was great. We'd love to get it right on the front end. And Casey or I would be glad to do that. There's also another scenario. They're having the supervisor basic training on Saturday. So I don't know if anyone on this call there has a board member attending that. I don't think there's very many, but your forms will look a little different for that. And I have examples of that. If anyone wants to shoot me an email, or I can send those to you. So one more example, the timesheet. So for anyone, board members that are spending the night, their per diem is going to be on the timesheet, and it's for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday only, not travel day Wednesday.
I have a quick question. So if one of our supervisors leave out a day early, whatever the travel day is, they don't get per diem for, correct?
Well, if they, like, let's say they leave Tuesday and they did attend a session or something that was going on that day, that's still a day of service. It's just on Wednesday, there's nothing going on. So it's just traveling home.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so, and then when you send in these forms, they all require a cover sheet. There's a cover sheet example on this page as well. So you'll list all the supervisors that attended the annual meeting, check the annual meeting box, the dates of the meeting, and who completed the cover sheet. Or this is if we receive forms and we have questions. Casey knows who to call because it's all different people sometimes completing these forms. So she knows who to contact if there's questions. All forms need an original signature. They all need to be mailed in, not emailed. Make sure that there's a signature and a date on the timesheet and the reimbursement forms. We will need the hotel receipt and the registration receipt. I think that covers all the examples. Does anybody have any questions about the annual meeting or supervisor travel in general?
I do. This is Kelly from Rowan County. How does this differ for state employees? I know they don't get per diem, but what else is different?
That would be the only thing that's different. If they spend the night, all the same rules apply. If they're not far enough to spend the night, everything would just is on that travel reimbursement form. You just won't have a timesheet because they don't get the per diem unless they didn't spend the night. I guess you're far enough that they would be. So you just won't have a timesheet. And you should be able to take these examples and just change the names and fill out the top. And as long as they're there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, leave Wednesday, print them off and get them signed. I'll get this one updated. Had that incorrect amount there for the lunch.
Okay, my other question, would you rather all of these forms be mailed separate from the general district board meeting forms?
It would be nice, but it doesn't matter. We can separate them here. I will say with the switch to this new accounting system, travel reimbursements are way behind. To my knowledge, any fall area meeting registrations that have been turned in have not been paid. None of them. So there's probably going to be delays on getting these annual meeting reimbursements processed. I'm hoping they'll be caught up by then, but they're very behind on travel reimbursement payments.
I was just gonna add to that I want to thank everybody and your supervisors for being so patient because of this new online system. I know the supervisors might be asking you, maybe bothering you about the reimbursements and when they're coming, but I just want to let everybody know I appreciate everything because this new financial system has just been a bump in the road, needless to say, and hopefully it evens out soon.
Any other questions? I did just think of one more thing. Since there's so many people on the call, I'm going to go ahead and mention this for new supervisors and the onboarding forms, the direct deposit form. We are no longer able to accept that direct deposit form here. If a board member wishes to receive direct deposit that form and their information now needs to be emailed or mailed to the Office of State Controller. We do not have the ability at the department level to enter direct deposit information anymore. And so if we receive them, we'll just return them with a note on how that needs to be handled. So I'll be working with Christina to update this with there's a new form also, and with a note there that we can't process that anymore. And that direct deposit is only for like the annual meeting, area meeting registration fees.
State
Your
employee.
local, state employee, your local meetings are paid through our payroll and they're always a check. That system doesn't have the ability to do direct deposit. And it's possible that even though they send in their direct deposit, they may get a check the first few times for registration fees if the information kind of doesn't get updated before a payment is made. If the direct deposit is not in there, if they don't, they don't have to do direct deposit, they'll just get a check for registration fees and things like that.
We have, I just wanted to chime in. We have had a couple people call because they have received a reimbursement check in the mail and not direct deposited. So if there's any questions with that, feel free to email me, Casey or Megan, and we'll be glad to look that up also.
Yes, if they send in that direct deposit now to OSC, then they send an email. Like you have to provide an email address on that direct deposit form, and they will send you an email verifying like who you are, and they'll ask questions, and they're only gonna send that email once. If it's not responded to, like, they're just not gonna enter the direct deposit information.
Can you share that, the address for the state controller or where we need to send that direct deposit form?
Yeah, I'll pull up the form here.
Oh, it is on the form. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so they can email it to this email address, and then at the bottom of the instruction sheet, there's an address. I think most people are emailing it.
Okay, and you said this is for any supervisor, new supervisors who have not been to an area meeting or an annual meeting.
Correct. Since January of this year.
Okay, thank you.
But again, the direct deposit is not mandatory. They don't mind receiving a check, because this hasn't gone seamlessly. We've had a couple people send it in, and it's sort of a headache with that return email and the information that they ask.
Megan, you do have a question in the chat. It's a general question for supervisor timesheets. If the supervisor receives a check from the state, what is he not entitled to receive on his timesheet?
Sure, I understand that question.
I think it's referring to per diem, like if they are considered state employees. Is that the question, Velda?
I suppose the question, there are two things he gets paid for that I question: total mileage and the per diem. So he doesn't get mileage, he just doesn't get the per diem.
Is this a state employee?
Well, he receives a check because he's an adjunct professor at the local college. So the
if it's a
answer
state,
is
so if they're a state employee, they only get mileage for a local
They-
board meeting.
they only get mileage for a board meeting. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Question in the chat about the direct deposit in an email address. If they don't have an email address, it's a requirement. So if they have a family member, child, grandchild, they will return all the forms that don't have an email address on it. And that the same goes for this, the W-9. The email address is required. Maybe help them set up a Gmail, or I don't know. That's a question that we've had a lot, even like with cost share payments and things like that too. But they will send them back. We've also had a lot of them returned that they say are not legible. They're being very picky. Like, I think I can read it. But they've returned 4 or 5 already that they say they're not legible. Have asked us to get new ones. So just be very particular about how they fill out this form. Or even if you could type it in for them and print it and have them sign it. The example that's on our website too, like if you're familiar with doing this for the cost share, they check individual, and then the one on our website for board members, it says board member there for other. Okay, any other questions?
All right, well, thank you for the information, Megan, and for the examples. We'll get the one updated on the website here in just a minute to include the lunch on Sunday. But yeah, any last minute questions, either raise hand or type in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to let everybody go and enjoy the rest of your day.
Christina, is there
Yes.
going to be any kind of a training or a walk through the new website?
We are planning that, just trying to get calendars together. I know it's rolled out on Friday and we were trying to find any hiccups on the pages that we could come across and then hoping to do something fairly soon. So stay tuned on the listserv for that.
Okay.
But yeah, in the meantime, if you have questions about where anything is posted, always feel free to send me an email and I can point you in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.